My name is Gianluca Iumiento. I'm a director, playwright, and actor. And yes, I usually work with theater, but sometimes also with film. Yeah, I do appreciate theater. Of course, is the life passion. Well, I appreciate theater because I find theater like the room where everything is possible, where we can meet as human beings to try to understand what it means, what it is to be humans, and it's a collective art form. I consider myself a social person. I really like to be with others, to create with others, and it's an art form that gives you the possibility to work with different art forms, visual things, light, sound, human beings, the audience, and it gives you this constant feedback and relationship to the audience. So it's a sort of art form that never stop to be made. You're sort of always making this constantly. So it's that's why I really love theater. Trying to understand myself and the things I think or feel together with others, not just for myself. There are some form of art that you can practice on your own that are very sort of also meditative. You sort of go in this relationship between you and what you're creating. But I'm not a kind of artist. I really need exchange with people. I need to create the space where people meet, and probably that's the essence of what I do as an artist, to facilitate this meeting place between colleagues, different artists, and the audience. Very occupied by human beings, human behavior. I'm very occupied about imagination. Humans have this ability to imagine the world different than what it is, imagine themselves different than what they are, and sort of create actions that can change reality, that can affect reality. We shape reality around us, sometimes in a better way, because we sometimes do things that really can impact other people and the world in a positive way or in a negative way. So this ability to move from ideas to action and from action to ideas, this ability to have this sort of imagination that becomes an action that becomes reality. What I do is a very hybrid genre. I for sure, like when it comes to acting, and also like when I work as an acting teacher and pedagogue, and I'm very concerned with real human interaction. So the exchange between people, the real spontaneous, unpredictable meeting between people, and it's not just between actors but also with the audience. But at the same time, I like theater because it's a combination of different art forms. So I like to work on architecture, room, on light, how it changes the perception of space, the perception of things. I like to work with sound. Like in that sense, like theater gives you the possibility to tap in different art form with video, sculpture, costumes, with like the composition of everything which is visual in a three-dimensional way, and everything which is sound, also sort of creating the perception of space and time, and of course human behavior as a sort of link between all these things. It starts from the research on what does it mean to be human, and the connection between humans, but it's in dialogue with you're sort of experimenting with space, time, the visual arts that can create images that are not just images about the world the way we see it, but the world the way we imagine. I think theater in that sense, in a way we can say that theater has always been in a crisis. I mean, it's a constant crisis, and probably that's the place where theater belongs, in a crisis. I don't think that good theater has ever been made out of very comfortable moments in the history of theater. So in that sense, I'm not afraid. I think there are other art forms that are more challenged by what's going on with the digitalization. I think that the more the world becomes digital, the more we need theater as a very unique art form that brings us together, that it's the room where we can rehearse what it means to be human. It's a rehearsal, like the room for the conversation around what it is a human being, what it means to be together, how do we talk to each other, how do we deal with each other, what are feelings, what are actions, what are emotions. So in that sense, this, agora, this common space, this analogic common space where we come together, I think as a unique potential always to renew itself. Of course, these technologies are challenges the way theater will have to approach the audience, and probably they will also have, and they have, a place now in theater, because as we mentioned before, theater is this box that can kind of bring in all sorts of art forms. So also the new digital expressions are having, and they will have more and more importance in the theater, like holograms, like virtual reality, augmented reality. We will be able to experiment with theater, also with these kind of technologies. But I think the essence of theater, it's really impossible to defeat, and I think until human beings will think as themselves as humans, and we will see how long this will happen. But until we have this problem of what does it mean to be human, who are we, how do we do things together, I think theater will always have a function. But it's very important that artists understand what is the role of this art form and try to renew it. And responsibility is not in the hands of theater as such, but in the hands of we that sort of approach theater as the art form we want to work with. Don't miss the spirit of the essence of this art form, which is to bring people together. Theater is like life. It's like, in life you can be manipulated. In life you can be subject to people that use connection, feelings, emotions to sort of implement a secret agenda. This is always a risk. Theater, since it moves, has the power to make time short, because you can achieve extremely strong connections in a very, very short time. If you use this power with a goal, with the aim, sort of control or implement some ideas to a large group of people, there's always the risk. I think right today, social media, films, TV, these kind of art forms or communication platforms have bigger impact when it comes to propaganda. I'm a sort of nerd of being human, so it's like for me traveling and working in different places, different languages, different social contexts is at the essence of doing theater. I can't imagine myself as a director who's always working within a social context, within only one cultural set of rules or one language, because it's a sort of way of making reality smaller. And I think my role is to move in order to see reality from different point of view, different cultures, different languages, different economical situations, different social situations. They bring you to look at reality in a different way, and then to look at yourself in a different way. That's more important than being inside one context and changing place. You sort of dry out your understanding of reality because you never move, and you never look at reality and at yourself within reality from different perspectives. So I find it almost like as my duty to try to challenge myself, go different places, meet different artists, different actors, different audience, and then challenge myself, my knowledge, my understanding of theater, my ability to communicate my ideas, to gather people around a vision, because in every country you have to use a different process. So I see it, as I said, almost like, call it a medicine or a duty or a necessity, but it's really like I'm really grateful to have the chance to do this. It's a very interesting piece because I think it's somehow some kind of manifest of the beginning of sort of the end of the American imperialism, if you want to call it that way. Especially after the Second World War, we have lived in a world where America has been like the world police and somehow sort of had a dominant role in the history of this planet. I'm not judging it, I'm just stating as a fact. Of course, America has a lot of merits also, but if you look at it from an historic point of view, after 9/11 and then with the sort of the growing decadence of American capitalism, there is a deconstruction, there is a free fall of the American role in the world. Today we're really seeing this with the conflict in Ukraine, with this new sort of global order which is in big movement right now, and we see also how American politics is really struggling between controlling itself from the inside and at the same time keeping this position in the world. So this play is really sort of bringing us inside the seed, the beginning of the fall, of the deconstruction of the American dream, of the American capitalism, of America as this sort of leading force and example for others to follow. In that sense, I think it's still a very relevant text. I think it sort of can make us look at ourselves, the way we stand today, and think about where do we want to go, what's going to happen, what's our relationship to these problems that the play is portraying, and what's going to be the future of our society, not of American society, when this big change will be finished in the world. I mean, when America will stop being like the leading force of this planet. It's a scary position because it's something new, and it's also possibly maybe something exciting, but it's a really like we are in the middle of a big historic change, and I think this play can make us look at this from a very interesting perspective. It's sort of presenting a very interesting problem, which is the relationship between freedom and safety. The future will really challenge us more and more, both because of digitalization and the way that digitalization can invade our life, but also because we are really now in a war between systems. We have the democracies of the Western world sort of shaking and falling. We have more autarkic systems in the East, China, Russia, trying to sort of pitch their model. So we saw with the pandemic, what's the right balance between individual freedom and security? What are we willing to give up of our freedom to feel secure? And is like, what is the relationship between these two things, and can we find the right balance? This project, this play is really confronting us with this topic. I should see this play because it's fun, because there's a very contemporary conversation on art, because we will portray very different point of views, different images, and we have a very witty, funny text. We have great actors, and all the designers have done their best to create the magic world, and we will try to really involve the audience, talk to them, be together with them. I think it can be a very unique experience to come and see this play. Well, first of all, it's like very interesting to be in Sarajevo, because being someone born in early 80s, Sarajevo is iconic city. Being I'm Italian, I remember the war, and it's a city which is sort of iconic in our memory. I always wanted to do something in Sarajevo. Furthermore, is this like sort of meeting point between all these cultures, all these religions. It's really like it's a hot spot of a lot of things. If you're someone that sort of make curiosity around human beings at the center of your art form, I think at a certain point I had to come here. Second of all, I'm very happy that I was able to experience Sarajevo from this theater. I feel really welcome here. I met a lot of, first of all, nice people that I really enjoy spending time together with, and a lot of great artists, actors, really well prepared, really willing to work and open. So I'm really like sometimes even overwhelmed, because I mean it's such an interesting meeting, and everybody is also very sort of open to use the obstacles that are always there in a positive way as a resource to create something together. And people seem open to my suggestions in terms of method of working. So it's very, very, very interesting. And I think the theater is also taking care of the human aspect of being. It's not just about the work, but it's also about making you feel part of a team, making you feel sort of appreciated as a person. And this is very important for me, like also the way I like to direct. I like to create a room where we are, first of all, taking care of each other as human beings, and then from that perspective, we can create together. So the experience so far is very, very positive, but we cross fingers for the premiere, and we hope it's going to be a good show.